the unification of Africa. Before tuende the unification of Africa, you know there's an incident that inanistua kidogo. Mkuu umeipanda pasi. Umeipanda pasi ukatembea foyo ukakuja hivi. Umeikuja foyo pasi na Nairobi. You know, yesterday there was the death of the Queen. We call him the Queen, Elizabeth II. Then I saw an incident whereby au ma-African president wote wamerusha tu kwa pasi moja. Mr. Ruto alikuwa huko nyuma. Ramaphosa yuko huku. Mama Suluhu hapa yuko huku. So when you look at that incident, how can you critique it, imagine, as a president bordering a pass? I'm not saying that they should be bribed or they should do this and this. What I'm simply saying is that, what do you take from that instance? Should we as Africans be proud of that instance, or should we do on the contrary?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
On that note, it depends with one's angle of view.
Yeah.
Because that topic was a bit interesting.
Sure.
And I asked 3 people on that. And one reason was that, you see, these presidents were many. And imagine a president with a convoy. You can have a convoy of several vehicles from your embassy. So just try to count. Maybe how many presidents are there from Africa?
There were many.
500.
Around 500. Sindio? Each president has got a convoy. A convoy of how many vehicles? Let's say 10. Let's say 10.
Yeah.
10. 10 times 500. 5,000.
That's 5,000.
Ebu imagine magari 5,000 yako hapa. 5,000. So that was one of the reasons. Again.
And hold on.
Yes.
When you look on that submission of yours, what do you think should be the best thing to do, we as African? Do you think that they were trying to tell something to us that hiyo convoy ingekuwa kubwa sana because umekuja nyote kama to president, not even presidents? So do you think that they were saying to us that as Africa we need to send at least one president to represent us to those chambers?
Unification.
Yes. Thank you.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Now again, the second reason, which of course I saw through tweets, messages everywhere, is that they said it's only President Biden who was going to be allowed with his convoy to go. And
Why?
But these other lesser world leaders, lesser,
they were called lesser.
Yeah. Like these, the whites are superior, but we Africans,
we are lesser. What does that tell us?
It's time we are supposed to wake up
and decolonize our mind.
That's
a very, very perfect submission.
Yeah.
We should wake up and decolonize our mind. True. Thank you for your submission. Let me listen to Gidonga before we make the final conclusion.
So according to me, I took it positive.
Yeah.
In one way.
You took it positive.
Yeah, I took it positive.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Submit.
You know, the moment you bring these leaders together, especially the African leaders together, and they are in one bus, these people are sharing ideas. You know, these people are talking and sharing out ideas, and you know, President Ruto is seated next to Samia Suluhu Hassan, the other presidents there around. And you know, these people are sharing ideas. They're not just seated there enjoying the trip. So the other thing is that when we say that the lesser, you know, when we talk about US, US is a superpower country, and their president is a main target in matters concerning security. So for him, I took it positively because this guy, basing our country and their country, we cannot compare the two countries. It is true. We cannot compare.
Then what should we do so that we can compare? This is a question of the day.
You know, the problem with our African leaders is that we are still what we call, is it the neo-colonialism, whereby
our mind is still under the colonial loop.
Not even the colonial. The blacks are also still colonizing us.
We feel inferior.
No, you know, when the blacks are still colonizing us, you know, we are colonizing ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially the heads of state. And sorry to say, like we have Uganda, where they still have the same president since eternity. we are still in that cocoon of neo-colonialism, whereby the leaders, we have the black leaders, as they want to colonize their fellow blacks.
I get your
You
point.
see now.
I get your point.
So, and they want to outshine their fellows.
So we are in competition.
Instead of us leaders, especially in Africa, if we had the Pan-Africanism, we stand on our own. You know, we have so many things. We have, in fact, everything that is taken outside Africa, in Ndanga, in Aru. You know, all the European countries depend on Africa.
Okay.
All the European countries depend on Africa in matters of minerals, everything, agriculture, and everything. So it is time we Africans we wake up from our deep slumber.
Thank you.
Yeah? You know, you are still in a deep slumber.
Just sleeping.
You are still sleeping.
With all our natural resources.
With all our natural resources, we have not identified our potential.
Thank you. We are going to our next point.
Yes.
So for me, that was quite something I can learn from that is that, in fact, as a country and as Africa, to anybody who is listening, to any youth that is hearing us today from any part of Africa, there's let us take it from this point, Mr. Janguru and Mr. Gidonga. Let us assume that, this time we have those people who, the terrorists, who are targeting a certain president. It doesn't matter that you are in Nigeria or something. Remember, the African president on one pass. If somebody was having an aim that he wants to kill African president, even one of them, he could have easily used a different bomb. And if he could have used a single bomb, remember how many presidents were there in that pass of African origin? How many were there? We were having almost, let's say even 15. So 15 countries, all of the 15 countries, all their presidents could have died. We could have been having a crisis in Africa.
Remember, there were different buses with different presidents.
But the African president
you know what happened?
were almost in one pass.
In one bus.
Maracha, you know what happened is that our focus was only on the African president. You know, we had 500 plus presidents there. And the only convoy I think was Biden's convoy and the president of Israel. The rest, even outside Africa, were in the same buses. You know, we just enclosed ourselves on Africa. We were in one bus.
Okay.
You know, we had so many other buses that were there.
Thank you.
With other African leaders and also worldwide leaders. The moment we focused on African leaders, yes, true, it would be a crisis because
Bruno de Ruto bar.
No, it would be a crisis in fact because we would have lost so many presidents in fact because I know in one bus maybe it was holding up to 30 presidents or maybe 15 presidents. And it would be a crisis in all those states.
Yeah.
It would be a crisis in all those states. But the way we say this, that in that funeral, I think there was enough security in matters concerning the buses because the same security would be in the same.
Let us not talk of.
But
let us not talk of enough security.
Yeah.
We are talking in case of terrorists. There are still security.
True.
They are more intelligent even than the security. We are talking in case of because when we are guiding even a president, when he wants to first even Taita in the next month, we will have security, CID coming here doing their work because they believe that terrorism might not be there, but they might do the preliminaries to ensure that they set their basis so that there is nothing new that will happen when the president arrives. But still, there is some incidents whereby something new happens.
So there is this point, just in 30 seconds, African presidents fear their own African citizens.
That's true.
But while there, they feel secure.
They feel secure.
They feel secure.
Why the insecurity?
They fear those who elected them to power.
Yes, why? Is there something fishy?
I don't know.
There must be something fishy because the moment you see, in fact, not even our African presidents. Look at the governance we have. Look at the convoy they have for security. Yet the security is against the. When you look, he is attending an event that has the electorate who elected him into
Imagine.
office.
And he's coming with 70
And he has
police officers.
he has over 5 vehicles. Eh?
What for?
Money.
for?
What, it seems that our African leaders are fearing their electorate. I don't know what.
Hold on now. Having said so, there's something we can learn from there. I think the unification under one pass reflect to us something that now Africa should look onto ourselves, and we need now to be amalgamated together, because our forefathers' dream was that we should be united, we as African. We should enhance intra-African trade. By now, we should be having one currency. By now, we should be having a federal government. And I could have wished that after hiyo mashishi ya the Queen, we could have only had one African president going to represent all of us. And that's not a single president from a state, but an African president as a continent. If not one, we could only be having two. And the other states could be only be first states to the main federation of African state. And that's why we are lagging behind. Because I believe as Africa, we have the resources. Africa is the origin of mankind. Africa is where everything is found. Africa is where hata hizi things that used to make hata mapomu huku nini, the uranium, every resource that is necessary for the development of this country is mined here in Africa. If it's not in South Africa, it's in Morocco. If it's not in Morocco, it's in Kenya. If not in Kenya, it's in Tanzania. It's in Senegal, it's in Ghana, and so on. So I think we should reflect more. The leaders of Africa should reduce their greed to power, because I believe the greediness to power is the one that makes us to be in small fossil states that cannot be reflected to the world. And now for Africa to be reflected to the world, I think there's a need for us to come together. The African people must learn from that incident to come together, put their differences aside,